Hi everyone, I'm Miss Katie from Rockland Public Library, and today we're going to be reading Cubs in the Tub. Now, Cubs in the Tub is a special story in Maine because it is one of the nominees for the Chickadee Awards this year. The Chickadee Awards are 10 books that are chosen for grades K through 4 to read and vote on which one is their very favorite. So it is a Reader's Choice Awards for kids that happens every year. And I thought we would read one of the books on the list. And Cubs in the Tub is a real story. You know how much I like picture book biographies. So I thought we would read Cubs in the Tub by Candace Fleming, illustrated by Julie Downing. It is the true story of the Bronx Zoo's first woman zookeeper. Let's see what happens. Helen and Fred Martini longed for a baby to bottle feed and burp, a baby to rock and soothe and croon lullabies to, a baby to love with all their hearts. Every morning, Fred went off to his job at the Bronx Zoo. Can you see what he's doing here? He's brushing a tiger and cleaning an elephant and feeding some of the animals. Helen stayed home to dream and plan, but still there was no baby. Until... Can you see what Fred brought home? It's hard to see what Fred has in his hands. It was a lion. Helen had never held a lion cub before, much less cared for one. Still, she took the baby in her arms. He was tiny, so newly born, his eyes were still closed. Just do for him what you would for a human baby. Why isn't he with his mother? She asked. Fred explained the lion had lost the instinct to care for her baby. She wouldn't feed him, she wouldn't clean him. She refused to even look at him. Helen cradled the baby close. She marveled at his tiny buds on his ears and the tender pink undersides of his toes. MacArthur, I'll name you MacArthur. Oh, look at the cuddle. The first thing MacArthur needed was a bath. Good thing Helen had a baby bath. She sang a lullaby as she sponged his fur. Soon he was as fluffy and soft as a lamb. MacArthur gave a husky cry. Good thing she had those baby bottles and all those cans of formula milk. MacArthur slurped it up. Then, burp, a gentle pat on his back brought up the bubbles in his belly. With a sigh, the baby snuggled his downy head onto the curve of Helen's neck. His sweet breath warmed his skin. Tiptoeing to the crib, good thing she had a crib too, she tugged him in. Curling his little legs beneath him, MacArthur dreamed. Look, they're treating him just like he's a person, huh? Just like he's a human baby. And he grew. Helen kept a record of all of his firsts. You see the pictures? Oh, on the 11th day together, MacArthur finally opened his eyes. They were a soft blue. On their 15th day together, he got his first tooth, a needle-sharp incisor. And on their 21st day together, he took his first stumbling steps. It was a great day. Soon, MacArthur was pouncing at Helen's ankles, chewing on Fred's boots, and leaping into their laps whenever either one of them sat. What a joy it was to have a baby in the house. Oh. But when MacArthur was 2 months old, officials decided to send him to the zoo in another city. Helen held her baby close until the car came, and she tried to smile as MacArthur drove away. Then she folded up the baby blankets, stowed the tub, the crib, and the bottles, and sank into the rocking chair with empty arms and an empty lap. Oh, they had to send him away to a new zoo. Gray day followed gray day until, oh, Look who's come home this time. Helen stroked the babies. They were so cold, so thin, so still. They're in a pretty bad way, said Fred. Good thing she had a heating pad. She slipped it beneath their tiny baby bodies and turned it up high. Then she mixed a batch of warm formula and squeezed it into their mouths. Drip, drop, drip. 1, 2, 3. The babies began to wiggle. The kitchen filled with a faint chorus of high-pitched cries. She named the babies Ranagaj, Decca, and Rajpur. Here they are. They're so cute. And once they started eating, they could not stop. Every 3 hours, around the clock. Good thing Helen had Fred to help her with those 2 a.m. feedings. By the end of the first week, the babies had doubled their weight to 4 pounds. That's good news. That means they're getting healthy. Days passed, blue eyes open and folded ears perked up. Little teeth poked through their pink gums. Personalities appeared. Ranagaj cried whenever Helen put him down and bit and scratched when he didn't get his way. Daka was forever boxing his brothers' faces with her fat little paws, then rolling on top of them and pinning them down. Rajpur liked to sleep. Good-natured, he accepted whatever came his way, especially food. How wild it must be to have 3 tigers living in your house with you. Can you imagine? Helen let them get away with all sorts of mischief. They romped and tumbled, they snuggled and purred. What a joy it was to have 3 babies in the house. But when they were 3 months old, it's time for the cubs to return to the zoo. Not without me, she said, not this time. And when the car came for them, Helen climbed in. The babies needed her. Look, she's going to the zoo too. At the zoo, she turned the glass-paneled cages into a cozy home. Blankets, bottles, boxes of toys. Good thing Helen had brought them all. Then, peeking around the partition, she watched the babies play. She called them back for naps and snacks and cuddles. Do you see her here? That night, when the visitors left the zoo, the cubs sensed that Helen was leaving too. Ranagaj cried, Decca clung to her ankles, and Rajpur scrambled up onto Helena's arms and wrapped his paws around her neck. Refusing to stay in their cribs, the 3 struggled against sleep. It was midnight before Helen finally tiptoed home. In her own bed, she tossed and turned and imagined she heard the babies crying. At the first light, she rushed back to the zoo. Her little ones were still curled up, fast asleep. She kissed 1, 2, 3 sleepy cubs awake. Then it was bottles, baths, and time to play. Day following day, no one noticed Helen, so no one told her to go home. Helen began to dream and plan. Is there an empty room around here? Fred showed her a storeroom. In secret and between bottles and baths, Helen cleaned it, painted, decorated, and created a nursery. Good thing Helen had that baby equipment. The first night, the babies sniffed at the pink ceiling and the pale blue walls and the ruffled curtains and the crib and the toys, and they snuggled close to Helen and they purred. Now the cubs spent their days in a glass-paneled cage, but they spent their nights in Helen's nursery. There they are. Look, they have their own room. News of the nursery reached the zoo officials. They stormed through the doors and stopped dead in their tracks. Helen raised her chin. My babies need me. The officials looked at one another. So they do. agreed Mr. Candwell, the zoo curator, and he offered her a job of keeper of the nursery. Helen was delighted and surprised. Only men held zookeeper jobs until now. Helen had mothered her way into becoming the first woman zookeeper at the Bronx. She and her nursery stayed. The babies grew too big for laps, too big for cribs, too big for the nursery. Officials moved them to the large outdoor enclosures without Helen. They worried the 10-month-old tigers would hurt her. Nonsense. Even though they were twice her size, Helen argued, they still run to me for protection and comfort. But zoo officials were firm. Helen would never again be allowed to enter the tiger's cage. Pressed against the outside of the bars, her arms felt empty. Yeah, they decided it wasn't safe. They were too big for her to be safe. So they moved them to the big side, but not for long. What a happy zoo family. So look, the tigers have been moved out, but what else is in here now? Looks like she's taking care of maybe a leopard and a deer and some owls and maybe hedgehogs. It became a nursery for all. The end. So here is a picture of the real Helen right here, nursing one of her baby tigers. And I'm going to read a little bit of the long bio that's here, but I highly recommend checking out this book so that you can read some more of it. It says, Helen Martini really did establish a nursery for the tiger cubs in a storeroom of the Bronx Zoo in 1944. By that time, she had 3 years of experience taking care of zoo babies, beginning with the arrival of MacArthur the lion cub. Nowadays, zoos carefully follow exact care and diet instructions for their animals based on veterinary science. So they've done a lot of research to make sure that animals have the right things to eat and the right things to do. But back then, in 1944, zoos did not always know how to care for animals. This helps explain why officials at the Bronx Zoo allowed Fred to bring babies home to his wife. I don't think that would happen today. They simply didn't know what else to do. Luckily for them, Helen did. I'm going to skip to the end here. Busy as she was at the zoo, she continued to raise cubs at her apartment as well. Over the years, she mothered 5 more tigers, 2 more lions, as well as a panther and a pair of jaguars. So I highly recommend you checking out this book and learning a little bit more about the wonderful Helen Martini and her cubs in the tub. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to read to you all next week. Bye-bye.